I was surprised they didn't get like Stephen Hendry in it or someone. Yeah.
What, the snooker player?
Not Stephen Hendry.
Lee Hendry.
Lee Hendry.
He's not even Scottish.
I was like,
Isn't
what?
He's English.
What are you talking about, Smith?
He played in Scotland though, didn't he?
I don't think so.
Hello, you are listening to Off Radar, It's a Movie podcast. I'm James Smith, a professional film and video editor.
I'm James Eatock, a freelance writer and illustrator specialising in 1980s cartoons.
And I'm Neil Brock, aka Nige, the man with two names, former film journalist and currently working in the games industry.
Each week, one of us picks a movie that all three of us either haven't seen in many years or in some cases haven't seen at all.
We each watch the chosen movie, return to the microphone and let you all know exactly what we thought of it.
I'd never really had any interest in watching it and I was proved absolutely right.
I think it's amazing. I really, really love this film.
The film's still a pile of steaming dog shit.
If you fancy joining in and suggesting a movie for us to watch, why not tweet us at Off Radar Podcast
or email us on offradarpod@gmail.com.
If you like what you hear, please subscribe, share, and by all means, leave a review.
For now, strap in, turn the volume up, and let's go Off Radar. No, I can't do it.
Hello! No, wait.
Can't do it. No, that's Mrs. Doubtfire.
I sound like Austin Powers doing old thingy.
Anyway. Hello, welcome back to Off Radar. I'm James Smith, and as always, I'm joined by James Eatock.
Howdy.
And Neil Brock.
Okay, the Nige.
Oh, God.
I mean, to be fair, that's better than Duvall's impression. But we call him Nige. Today we're talking about a film that Nige, aka Neil Brock, has been begging us to review for a few months. So,
in fairness, I want to say I jumped on that bandwagon as well. I pushed it after Nige recommended it. I was like, Ali McCoist and Robert Duvall in the same film. Let's do this.
I mean, who knew that would happen existed?
I thought Nige was joking when he first said it. I was like, that didn't happen.
But yeah, the film's called A Shot at Glory. It came out on the
available to watch for free on YouTube.
On YouTube. So you know it's
right up there.
Ali McCoist uploaded it as well. So. And yeah, it came out in the year 2000. That's what went wrong in the year 2000. A Shot of Glory was born, directed by Michael Keaton, who you would never have heard of, and neither have I. He also directed a film called American Buffalo, which I watched the trailer of with Hoffman. What's his name? Dustin Hoffman, believe it or not.
I think I say Philip Seymour for a second.
No, Dustin Hoffman.
Dustin Hoffman, one of the biggest Hollywood actors of all time. He was okay.
Yeah, but go and watch the trailer and you'll realise. And then he also directed a film called Outside Providence, which Alec Baldwin is in. So I've
seen that.
Wow.
Okay. What footballers in that film?
Yeah, exactly.
That's written by the Farrelly brothers.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But yeah, he's also acted. One which made me laugh. He's Homeless Man 2 in Shallow Hal.
Oh, I love him in that scene.
He was in Kingpin as well.
He was in Kingpin, yeah.
Okay, let's change things now.
But yeah, you wouldn't have probably heard of him as a director. You wouldn't have necessarily heard of the writer. Dennis O'Neill is best known for writing The River Wild with Kevin
Meryl
Bacon.
Streep.
Meryl Streep.
Big 90s film.
You will know some of the stars, as we mentioned. Robert Duvall, Oscar winner from, I don't know if he won it from The Godfather, but he's definitely in The Godfather. He's definitely won an Oscar, I think. Michael Keaton, who we've recently spoke about in Batman Returns and Beetlejuice.
Duvall won his Best Actor Oscar for Tender Mercies, but he's been nominated for The Godfather, Apocalypse Now, The Great Santini, The Apostle, A Civil Action, The Judge, A Shot of Glory.
He somehow ended up in this. Yeah, and then as we say, Michael Keaton, which we spoke about in Beetlejuice, Batman Returns, and mentioned in Birdman. But yeah, the biggest star and draw of this film, Ali McCoist, who has been trending a few weeks ago for something bad he said, like J.K. Rowling, to do with the hate speech thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But now, obviously, you must know Ali McCoist. He ex-Rangers footballer, and now a pundit on
TNT Sports.
TNT. Yeah,
Everything.
he's now
He was captain on A Question of Sport, I'll have you know.
Oh,
yes, he was, yeah.
Yeah.
Good
took over,
McCoist
from
knowledge.
Emlyn Hughes and
Ian Botham.
Bill Beaumont.
Bill Bonham.
Yeah.
Bonham.
Bill
Bonham.
Bill Beaumont.
Bill Beaumont.
Had his nasty ways with old...
Sue.
Yeah.
don't you dare.
Don't you bring Sue into this.
Yeah, don't bring Sue Barker into this.
Yeah, and also Brian Cox of Succession fame pops up in this film, which was quite surprising.
With an accent almost as bad as Robert Duvall's, which is weird because isn't Brian Cox like
he
Scottish?
actually Scottish?
I feel like he is.
He's either Scottish or Irish. I think he's Scottish.
Yeah. Born in Dundee.
So he did maybe he did a different accent, different Scottish accent. I guess, first of all, had anyone seen this film before we did it for the pod?
Yeah, of course I had.
Of course you had.
Nige recommended it.
I'd forgotten it completely, but I'd definitely seen it because probably for exactly the same reason. Ali McCoist is in a film with Robert Duvall and Michael Keaton. I'm going to watch this film.
When do you think you watched it? When it came out?
Probably, I'm going to say... When was this film actually released? It would have been mid-noughties, I would have thought.
Okay,
2006.
I doubt it would have got a cinema release, to be fair. So,
come on, mate. The premiere was held in... We were showing photos of like the premiere, weren't we? Where it was like some random place.
Yeah.
No, it looked like Ali McCoist at a bus stop. That picture.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like his front room. And no one else came. They just...
Oh
dear.
Anyway, I had not seen it, never heard of it, and kind of like as anyone who
I was excited
into this
to see
film, excited to see it, but was like, what the fuck is going to happen in this film? Nige, what's it about?
So, bear with me for this little intro in terms of synopsis. So, we find ourselves in a football heartland, Scotland, where Jimmy Muir is scouted by Robert Duvall playing for a local non-league team. Before too long, he's in a Nazi prison, challenged to a game of football by a German colonel. But lo and behold, he moves into a flat and hangs out with Anna Friel while his flatmate's career is ended by injury. Then his brother dies in a tragic mining accident, turning him back onto the bottle. He gets sent off for punching someone, and it all ends up with a Pele overhead kick and them all escaping through the crowd. What a game of football is.
I feel like he's merged two films there.
I think there was a few football films in there.
There really was. There's definitely Escape to Victory.
A bit of Goal as well. With Santiago Munez. A bit of Jimmy Muir from When the Saturday Comes and Sean Bean, everyone's favourite. So
yes.
So there you go.
I've only seen Escape to Victory and this film.
Yeah,
I've never seen the Goal series. Wasn't it like a trilogy of Goal movies?
Yeah, it was, with heavily sponsored by Adidas, featuring the likes of David Beckham, Ronaldo, Real Madrid, Newcastle. I think like really crap, like Nicky Butt's maybe in it for a moment.
Wow.
Big thrills there.
Big thrills.
But yeah, When Saturday Comes, Pete Postlethwaite as well. So come on.
Pete Postlethwaite.
And the bloke who was like one of the classic dads in Hollyoaks. What was that terrible song from This doesn't matter. We don't want to go down this road. But essentially, most football films are the same in the fact they have Nazi Germany and prisoners in. But essentially, Robert Duvall signs flailing striker Ali McCoist, who's moved down to England and his career's hit the skids a little bit. He's not doing quite as well as he was. And there's also the weirdness. Well, I say Robert Duvall signs him, Michael Keaton signs him. Michael Keaton runs the club.
He's like
little provincial Scottish town.
He's the Ryan Reynolds, isn't he?
Exactly. And he just wants to bring a bit of publicity, potentially get more of his money, maybe even move the club somewhere else. Ooh. And Ali McCoist joins the club, but dun dun dun, he's the ex-husband of Robert Duvall's daughter. So there's a little bit of weirdness going on there.
That is a bit weird.
But lo and behold, they go on an amazing cup run that could maybe change the futures of everyone, not only at the club, but maybe in that small local town. And it was actually called The Cup for American audiences as well, because they didn't really understand what A Shot of Glory could be. But yeah, can Ali McCoist throw back his problems with booze, with driving fast cars? Will his wife ever learn to forgive him for being a bit of a dick? Will he score amazing goals? Will Robert Duvall basically have every single Scottish accent under the sun within like 90 minutes of a film? Tune in, find out, ...
And that is a synopsis for a made-for-TV movie, if ever I've heard
of
In the small village of Kilnockie, not much ever changes.
You should try out this new invention, Gordon, called a car.
But now...
It is, of course, the recent signing by Kilnockie of Jackie McQuillan.
Scotland's most notorious star soccer player...
But it's McQuillan! Oh, unbelievable!
...has been chosen to boost the town's struggling team.
This guy's going to give us the punch we need, Gordon, to make a run at the cup. Don't you want to win a cup?
Teams win the cup, Peter, not prima donnas reminiscing their past glories.
Well, something to bear in mind as well, like Ali McCoist, for those who aren't aware, was a professional footballer first and foremost. Someone decided it was a good idea to cast a footballer in an acting role. Not only an acting role, essentially the lead acting role in this film. But then they also say that he's an ex-Celtic legend, when in real life he traditionally always played for Glasgow Rangers, which was a weird decision because it's like, I get that they're trying to appeal to both audiences. So Rangers fans who are like, oh, I really like Ali McCoist, and Celtic fans who are like, oh, if we say he played for Celtic, then suddenly I'll like him. In fact, you probably alienated both sets of supporters, so it's a really weird decision. But like my personal background as well, I work on a computer game called Football Manager, so I have a close love and association with football. Therefore, I enjoy soccer films for our American brothers and sisters. But essentially, yes, this film is Ali McCoist being Ali McCoist and some weird people who know nothing about football being managers and owners of football clubs.
The way they paint his character, Ali McCoist, Jackie, is like this.
It's crazy.
He's like basically lived the dream. Yeah, exactly. Bit of football playboy. He's made loads of money, and now he just doesn't really care anymore. So when they sign him for this, it's ultimately like what has happened with Wrexham, which is why I say Ryan Reynolds. So they get this like a bit of injection of money through Michael Keaton's character. But yeah, McCoist he just doesn't give a shit, and Duvall is like this. Plays this character that's this old school Alex Ferguson type character. Unfortunately, his Scottish accent, which we've hinted at, is really fucking terrible. So it's really unbelievable. So he starts every line with "ear," just so he gets into doing a Scottish accent. So he's like, "Ear, you come here." And then he'll start talking in this slightly broken Scottish accent. So yeah, it's a really bizarre bit of casting, but maybe somebody, I don't know how the fuck they got either of these actors in this film.
I want to know how they signed one of the biggest actors in this movie, Andy Gray. Andy Gray.
Oh yeah, Andy Gray's the commentator.
Andy Gray's
he's in it quite a lot. Stilted and terrible. That's the problem. He's just doing commentary, which he did every day of his life.
That is literally the notes I have, Nige. It's like you've got Andy Gray,
who's take a bow. Who's come up with some
epic commentaries over the years, and all he's got to do is talk about football. But he's clearly scripted.
Just reading.
It's like they should have given, I don't know how the production is filmed, they should have given him notes and said, right, you're talking about this, and Andy Gray goes, right, okay, leave it with me, I'll do it, because he can do that. He's a professional commentator, and yet he just looks like he's a deer in the headlights throughout this film, Andy Gray. I do like the fact that this film can obviously write off some of its budget by using actual footage of Ali McCoist scoring goals for, clubs.
You say that, like, one thing football films gets traditionally terrible, and this is like the highest budget films, like sports films in general, tend, especially like ones that are sort of continuous action, unlike stop-start American football, they really struggle to show football played well. And one thing this actually does well is the football looks realistic, which I was really shocked at. I thought it was just going to be awful. And I know some of them are highlights, as you said, and they like sort of superimpose a different coloured shirt to show he was playing for Celtic rather than Rangers.
Yeah.
But the football scenes actually kind of work, which I didn't expect at all.
In a film, like, you want jeopardy, you want tension, you want the football. The football
every game they win.
Yeah, you want well, even the football from a footballing point of view, you want it to feel dramatic. but it feels slower than watching like a load of 15-year-olds in the park.
But the point is, Smith's got a point there. I think both of you make a good point. I think they do make the football interesting, but also all the game scenes, most of the shots, I don't mean shots as in kicking the ball. I mean, most of the visual shots are in slow motion. So it really kind of
slow.
It's really quite slow. It kind of kills the energy of the, I understand doing that as slow-mo for a penalty or an incident, but they do it when it's like, and
he's taking a throw in, and then
Jackie's out on the wing, and it's like, and he's all like slow, and he gets the pass, and it's like, what? I don't understand why this is so slow.
I found it slower than watching real football, which sounds mad.
Yeah, so we need to talk about Jackie, obviously. Yeah, he's not a happy bunny. He pushes his teammates away, and I thought, what we're going to get in this film is lots of, interesting characters. Like his teammates, you're going to get like someone else who's, come from another thing, or we're going to get, there's going to be a real kind of
a mixture of backgrounds,
characters. Just like interesting characters. There's not. There's
an American goalkeeper who's like
American
from a college team who is fucking rubbish.
Yeah, but he's the only other character.
The bloke in the crowd that can't watch has got more of a character than half of the football.
He's like faces the other way. Yeah, he's like he's too nervous to watch the games.
I understand.
It's comedy.
But it's not fun. No, I understand. The thing, what he's doing. Laugh, I said. But it's just, I was like, I don't know. You need to see those guys entering the ground and like maybe having a conversation before and like, are you going to do that thing where you look away again? He's like, I do it every game or something. That was my better than Robert Duvall.
It felt like he was in the room.
Yeah, it's like, what do you mean? I've actually got a couple of. I've got one specific Robert Duvall quote I've written, which we'll get to that.
But yeah, there's another fan as well who runs on the pitch and like shouts abuse at the goalkeepers as well.
Oh yeah,
like, comedy, he's
hilarious.
Yeah, he gets
the tea lady as well. Like
the tea lady's great.
She gets a good scene where she goes into the showers and they're like, "Get out!" and she turns around and she's like smiles, like, "Ooh, I saw their willies."
I saw their willy crankies. Like the American goalkeeper as well, the actor Cole Hauser. I recognise him from like Dazed and Confused.
Oh wow!
Okay, Richard Linklater film. He's also in Good Will Hunting and Pitch Black in pretty big roles. His career recently has not been so good, but yeah, he's in a few good things, and I was surprised to see him in this. And the first scene, he looks all right, but he eventually plays in like a big game and just looks like a very, very it looks like Stallone in Escape to Victory, someone who has never played in goal in any setting, let alone a professional one. So it's a weird subplot that doesn't really go anywhere as well.
There's so many weird kind of sub things. The don't go anywhere.
The little subplots are weird, but yeah, Jackie and the Godfather, Robert Duvall, their relationship is so weird because it is like this kind of like father and son relationship, isn't it? And Ali McCoist, you kind of. I will give him credit. He actually acts pretty well in this film.
I don't think he's bad in this movie at all.
Like
he's the
best. Yeah, like if you ask which one's got like Academy Award nominations, you would be like the tea lady or Ali McCoist.
Exactly.
Absolutely, 100% agree.
Duvall's character is obviously like he doesn't think about his wife and daughter and grandkids. He's just like
think about
like McCoist's wife, she's good as well. Like I think she's decent in this. But I feel like with McCoist, they were quite clever. And Smith, I don't know if you've noticed this with the editing, he never has like lines that run for that long. They cut quite frequently, and I think they did that probably because he was like, my name line, kind of like that kind of thing where he's
not slow,
but he's well, you were saying he was running in slow motion a minute ago, so maybe he is. But I feel like he's very natural and he's very charismatic. That's something that comes across in his commentary and his Question of Sport days, and I can see why someone thought it'd be a good idea to cast him in this.
Completely agree.
Because he's really good, surprisingly good in this film.
I could honestly see him like as an actor in film, I'm not saying like big Hollywood movies, but definitely like I could see him in an EastEnders, for example, as you know what I mean, and be a convincing
Ali McCoist
character.
is the next Doctor Who or something.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's. I mean, you know,
Probably a bit far.
Bit of a stretch. But
in that show, that daytime show, Doctors? He could be in that. Like,
he could be in Doctors. Yeah, I'm your Scottish doctor.
I mean, the writing is on a par, to be fair, but
you got a bad leg.
Very harsh on Doctors. I remember one birthday a few years ago, I watched a episode of Doctors, and it turned out there were like UFOs in the episode, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" So anyway, that's British daytime TV for you.
So so my one of my problems with this film is, you know, and maybe it's original for this, but it just seems, well, one of my many problems with this film. One is, like I said, there seems to be a lack of jeopardy throughout. And you get that thing where
they're going to move the football club to Ireland if they don't do something.
Yeah, if they don't kind of win, but they just. One point in the movie, I mean, they just win every game up until the big one, and it's just like they're winning. They get promoted, right? If I remember rightly, it's like,
so they're like a Division 3 club. I think it's 3 tiers. So obviously you've got the top division, and they get promoted, but that's never really the issue. No one really cares about that because I think they probably thought American audiences don't understand the idea of promotion relegation. Let's just say there's a cup, there's a big prize,
there's a big cup.
They're the underdog. They can play the big scary team, and the big scary team is managed by Robert Duvall's is it ex-assistant played by Brian Cox, who basically screwed him over. They were both going to quit. They go into the chairman's office. He quits first, and then the second guy basically takes his job. So they hate each other. Although that's just a weird dynamic as well.
I was going to say, but the odd thing about that is that should be a bigger narrative in the story, but they just kind of throw it in twice. It's like Brian Cox baddie. Brian Cox is a baddie, and then at the end, Brian Cox just shakes his hand. It's like, you know, unlucky friend, and it's just like, they've made up, so they're best friends again. It's not best friends, but yeah, it just seems there's. I wanted more characters in this movie in terms of teams. Like, one of the best things about, you know, I should not make this comparison. I'm going to make it twice in this review, in this kind of overview of the film. Is Any Given Sunday, right?
Yeah, Pacino, Oliver Stone.
Has such a vast cast of characters from like the small. You can look at that film and go like, oh, I'm not saying like LL Cool J, Jamie Foxx, whatever, but it's like you remember these characters because they all stand out. It just feels. This film could have benefited from having some real characters, and I know you run a risk of going into some real kind of cliche, cheesy territory of like, oh, I'm the crazy Scottish player, and I'm Ali McCoist, I'm cool, and then there's like, oh, he's a bit weird, or oh look, you know, it's the year 2000. That one's bent, you know, that kind of thing to use.
Well, they did that with like Mean Machine, like both the Burt Reynolds one and like the Vinnie Jones one that was done with Adam Sandler, I think it was.
Adam Sandler,
that it was. Yeah.
Mean Machine is not to do a spoiler, but Mean Machine is the original Burt Reynolds, one of my favourite movies ever. I love that film. It's just incredible. Look, can we review Mean Machines now? right this minute.
Well, I did hope this pod might turn into just talking about random football films if there wasn't enough to talk about a shot of glory.
Can we just quickly talk about Ali McCoist having sex? That's probably one of the most, when he cheats.
I thought you were talking about the leaked video that came online. There is
that also on his YouTube channel?
Hulk Hogan's pencil dick.
That's right. What? Yeah, the AI one that you've generated. It's so uncomfortable. But yeah, his character, he gambles, he drinks, he cheats, and his journey is that he's going to become a better person, basically. But yeah, in amongst that, they have some montage on some grain, which is really weird, in like a farmyard. I didn't quite understand what they were doing on that. It was like, maybe it was like a Rocky kind inspiration, like going back to nature or something.
Oh, definitely, yeah. It was that element I think they were trying to get across, and I think that's the thing where this film does struggle is the idea that you're trying to get caught up in the story, but yeah, you mentioned there's no jeopardy. There's none of the characters really get an opportunity to shine. Like, some of the set pieces are a bit weird, like the weird like kids. He's out driving his flashy sports car, and there's like I can't remember if it's a Celtic supporting kid or a Rangers supporting kid's about to get beaten up, and he like rescues them, and then he tells his wife, "Oh yeah, I rescued a kid." Or it's in the newspapers, isn't it?
It's in the newspapers,
It's just. it's a lot of things that don't really gel together that well. And like you say, it's kind of got that feeling of a TV movie. But then, as you say, like Michael Keaton and Robert Duvall, and Michael Keaton probably puts the worst performance I've ever seen in his entire career. It's like
so bad.
I don't think he could have phoned it in anymore.
No.
And it just seems so weird.
I think he was on set for a day, I guarantee.
Yeah.
Well,
like those scenes in the box, like he's clearly not in the stadium, and it's
probably not in the country.
Yeah, he probably isn't. He's probably in a studio somewhere. He's probably never even
Actually, if you go back and look at the footage,
McCoist.
it's not even Michael Keaton. It's just a puppet that just looks like Michael Keaton.
So the reason why him and Duvall were in this film was they, at the time, we mentioned the writer Dennis O'Neill. He basically called in a bunch of favours. So he was fairly big shot at the time because of the River Wild and because of some of the relationships he had in Hollywood. Duvall has always had like a strong interest in Scotland anyway, so he was keen to do this. And that's the reason why they got involved. It was just... And Michael Keaton himself is actually of Scottish heritage, and his real name is Michael Douglas. So Michael Douglas being a very traditional Scottish name. Yeah, I know. He couldn't take Michael Douglas when he signed up for his like Screen Acting Guild's, whatever it was, card.
No Michael Douglas would ever do
There was
well.
a Michael Douglas. Yeah, exactly. So those are the kind of reasons why it was in. And Duvall became like really good friends with an ex-Celtic player, a legendary one called Jimmy Johnson, who was well known for being a famous dribbler. To the extent that Duvall named his dog Jinky, which was Johnson's famous nickname. So Duvall was like really into this. Like he probably loves whiskey as well, for God's sake. Let's throw out all the random Scottish things.
He just wanted to go to Scotland and have a bit of an adventure of a film, basically, by the sound of it.
Yeah, and like he did try with the accent, but obviously
he tried.
Didn't quite.
Maybe he did.
Well, like... So to go back again to compare this to Any Given Sunday, obviously one of the most... I mean, it's an amazing scene if you've never seen it, but and it gets referenced so much. But Pacino's speech from Any Given Sunday is a beautiful piece of cinema, but it's also so perfectly written. It's so beautifully scored. And in this, we have a team talk by Robert Duvall. It's their game against Kilmarnock. And during this, I wrote down, I've done it phonetically, so to try and repeat what he says, he goes... Because he kind of loses his Scottish accent because he's shouting. Because obviously, when you're doing accents, as soon as you shout, you enter into your own accent. Unless you're an accomplished actor, which Duvall is. So he should have known better. But he says, "You only get one chance at the Premier team. This or shots at glory, lads." So he actually quotes the film title.
Yeah, it's always good when a film does that.
I think it gets like referenced about 8 times in the film, to be fair. I think Andy Gray says it about 4 times.
Andy Gray definitely says
He's like, they've got a shot at glory today.
It sounds like the sort of commentary that used to be on like quite bad football games, maybe like 15, 20 years
I'll tell you what
ago.
it is. It's Alan Partridge commentary.
Go! He's got a foot like a traction engine.
Shit! Did you see that?
Yeah. And then it's like spelling out the story as well, isn't it? It's like, he's been out drinking last night and now he's made up with his father-in-law.
Well, like thinking about it now, this isn't in my notes. When you look back at the film, they use the media like newspapers and kind of TV to kind of pull the narrative along and say like, this is what's happening now in the film, rather than actually have the characters, eloquently explain what is happening.
Talking about the TV, there's a really weird scene in the pub where they're watching Ali McCoist like highlights and they're all cheering, and I was thinking, who in a pub cheers highlights? Like if you're watching a live game, obviously you do, but they're all like drinking and cheering. And on one of the tables there's an iron brew, just like placed there.
Of course
just
there is.
But yeah,
there's one on every table in Scotland. So every table there's an iron brew.
Talking about the football scenes, I'm jumping around as much as the film here, but the crowd noises are looped. So you've got cheering.
I didn't notice
you've got cheering. It goes grrr, and then it's basically got a little cross dissolve and it's looped, and the same crowd noises goes again. We need your help. We are looking to grow Off Radar and release more and more high quality content. Please give us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your pod. And why not share with your friends and loved ones?
Help me help you.
They basically lose, and Duvall goes absolutely bonkers at one of the guys, like really unnecessarily so.
Yeah.
And you know, he made a mistake, basically. It's the keeper, isn't it? And he says, "Boss, I'm sorry, I should have shot my fucking legs." And Duvall says, "No, your mother should have shot hers."
I think so another thing about Duvall is like he was a big fan of American sports, and there was like this hard-nosed, I think it was like the Chicago Bears or someone like that, a manager who was really well known in the States for basically being super hardcore. And when Duvall came over to Scotland to kind of learn about football and be involved in this game, he shadowed an ex-Wraith Rovers manager, and he said basically this guy makes that American Chicago Bears manager look like a teddy bear, like, because unsurprisingly a Scottish football manager was a massive cunt basically to his players. So that was part, and I think obviously there was a part of that Duvall was like, oh, I want to be an authentic Scottish football manager in this film, therefore I'm going to have to give players shit, like throw teacups, that kind of the Alex Ferguson treatment. But it's kind of, it seems very out of place, doesn't really land, and you just feel very sorry for the poor old goalkeeper.
They do try, let's be honest, they do try to do the whole thing with McCoist's family. So he's got a son we haven't mentioned.
There's a wonderful scene where they're playing football in the back garden.
Football in the garden,
yeah.
But the problem is him and his, I guess, ex-girlfriend is, I mean, it's very, I don't want to be too hard on this movie because it's easy to, but there's just such a lack of chemistry between Ali McCoist and the ex-girlfriend,
ex-wife,
and it's ex-wife. Come
on, you've got to get factually correct.
Sorry, I've got to get it right. If I'm going to be criticising, I need to get it right. But it's you can see through. This feels like a summary, but you can see throughout this movie they're trying to do things. It's just that none of the things are actually landing as well as they probably did on in a premise or a synopsis.
Yeah. There wasn't a premise or a synopsis for this film, so that's the thing.
They just asked Andy Gray wrote the movie.
Just his notes. Yeah.
just his notes on the game. Oh, that'd be great. But Robert Duvall and his daughter are supposed to have this very tenuous relationship, and you see that at times, but again, it's just every scene where Duvall is in, and it's actors when they do like another accent or something, usually you immerse yourself in that and kind of you buy into it, like Philip Seymour Hoffman, the late great Philip. He was fantastic at doing different accents and stuff, and you bought into that. You weren't sitting there going, oh, this is Philip Seymour Hoffman doing a funny accent. It was never like that. Robert Duvall's performance in this is more like, and I love this performance I'm about to reference, Dick Van Dyke in Mary Poppins, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's that
definitely.
kind of but that is so beloved because I think Disney film and because it's such a so like a live cartoon come to life. This is supposed to be a gritty, dirty movie, and it's Robert Duvall, just every time he talks, and I love Bob Duvall in so many films, but as soon as he opens his mouth in these scenes, you just get pulled out of it. And the bit, there's one scene when he cries, and it's just like, it's just like, don't cry, Scottish. You sound really weird. And it's just,
That's what I always say to Scottish people: don't cry, Scottish.
No. As in his version of Scottish crying. Okay. It's just like, not. And I will make this kind of bold statement. I think it's fair. Sports movies, sports movies are so hard to get right.
Yeah,
because they have to do something. The easiest thing is we'll just make a film for that audience of that sport.
Yeah, which is what this is.
But no film should do that because it should always be about the greater narrative to pull in the bigger audience. And I think a lot of I talked about we talked about Mean Machines, the Longest Yard, obviously the Bruce Reynolds, Burt Reynolds, Bruce Forsyth, the Burt Reynolds movie. That is a fantastic example of taking something at its core, like a game of American football, but putting not only a colourful cast of characters, but having a wonderful story and character arcs throughout. And you just don't quite get that with this.
Well, even like Shaolin Soccer, and like there's a bunch of films where football films as well, where they have been able to achieve this.
Yeah, so. I mean, I mean, some people really love this film, but even to an extent,
They do?
bend it like Beckham.
Of course, yeah.
Sorry, that film. Yeah.
Fever Pitch as well.
Yeah. And I guess if you're looking at, like, I don't know, Last Boy Scout or maybe even Jerry Maguire to a certain extent, but maybe that's kind of, it's a sports film, but I guess that's more of a...
that's more about that's a very character-driven film.
Yeah.
Well, like Slapshot, for instance, is one, an ice hockey film with Paul Newman in from the 70s.
Wow.
Has iconic characters. There's the Munson brothers who are... This is a film I heartily recommend people go away and watch, and boxing lends itself really well to film as well, of course. Yeah. But there's a lot of sports films. But as I said, those kind of films aren't necessarily stop-start. Like baseball as well, there's been a plethora of amazing baseball films.
That's true.
Football is so hard to get right, and I'd say like cricket is almost impossible to get right as a sport. There's a few that just don't necessarily work, and I think tennis is a good one. Like, Wimbledon's fantastic. It's one of my favourite films, starring
Go
Samuel
back and listen
doing
to
another
that.
horrendous accent. Poor Samuel. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a good opportunity because you mentioned obviously like there's some football films that people do like. You mentioned a couple of good ones there. I'm going to read a couple of Amazon reviews for A Shot of Glory. So
Okay.
I'm not a football fan, but it always amazes me that such a popular activity as football does not seem to be able to turn out an outstanding football film. This one isn't it, but it isn't bad. So there's one that's like, okay, it's not too bad. Another one here. No one wants to say anything premature. However, the Scottish national football team has gone on a run of playing some good games, defeating some giant nations out there.
What?
Sorry. And that makes this film better as life imitates art, even with a few flaws in the plot. I appreciate it more now, and there are some good action clips in it, making it the best soccer movie since Escape to Victory.
Wow.
And then just one last one I want to read. Unable to play this DVD. What a waste of money and time. Would never recommend this seller. No indication the DVD will not play in newer style players.
There you go. Funnily enough, I wrote down my favourite headings from IMDb on this film.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, this will be good.
Shot
Entertainment. I thought that was good.
That's really good.
That is really good.
The next one was Nice Try.
No, I'm sorry, you don't repeat a shot.
Shot Entertainment is the greatest thing.
The next one is Not As Bad As Some Make Out, but not good either. This was actually my favourite one. Sorry, ... I thought that was a brilliant
we love the
heading.
dots on this show. So.
The next one is Why Direction Is Important, and then it goes into the review. The penultimate one is This Is Embarrassing. But my favourite one of all is Accents, and then that is the start of their
That's
review.
just the thing, yeah. There should be one that's like, by the time you read this, I'll be dead.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, God.
Is there any kind of trivia, Nige, of this?
Well,
film?
No,
so I was going to do some trivia on this, and I thought it's going to be more interesting to do trivia on another football film. So I've actually got trivia from Escape to Victory instead.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So Michael Caine actually admitted the only reason he agreed to make the movie was so he could work alongside Pele, which I thought was really nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we love Sylvester Stallone on this podcast. We talk about Rocky all the time. Obviously, this is another sports film with Stallone. So he actually started getting soccer training on weekends off from filming Nighthawks back in the early 80s.
Yeah.
From none other than England's World Cup winning goalkeeper Gordon Banks.
Wow.
So Stallone didn't pay any attention to what Banks was saying.
I was going to say,
didn't
he's
think
dreadful in
training was necessarily, as football's a sissy sport. So he threw himself about recklessly on the first day of filmings and hit the floor so hard he dislocated his shoulder and broke one of his ribs, putting him out of action. When he returned, he paid more attention, but still had loads of injuries. And at one point, he challenged Pele to try and score a goal past him because he thought he was so adept at being a goalkeeper. And Pele, unsurprisingly, not only scored, but broke his finger whilst doing it because he smashed it past him. And then Stallone, when he actually signed on to do the film, said his character has to score the game-winning goal in the film as the biggest star of the movie.
Goodness.
And that the non-American crew had to convince him the absurdity of a goalkeeper scoring the winning goal. So instead, they wrote in that he saved a penalty during the match just to placate his ego.
Wow.
So, and then the last sort of bit of trivia from Escape to Victory. So Escape to Victory is a great film as well. Go check it out.
Yeah.
The original draft of the script was a serious drama that was actually based on a true story of some Allied prisoners of war
Yeah.
who were challenged to a football match by the Germans. And the deal was if the Germans won the match, they would be released in Switzerland. But if the prisoners of war won, they would be shot. But the prisoners of war were like, we're going to go for victory anyway. And they won the match and were executed. So that would have been a lovely, happy ending to the film.
Bloody hell.
So there you go.
So they actually were killed. Man.
Well, according to the script, I don't know whether that's based on the true story. I think it's one of those stories that have been muddied over the years.
Yeah.
One of those legends. Yeah.
And then a little bit of trivia from When Saturday Comes for you. Sean Bean, being a self-professed supporter of Sheffield United Football Club, thought that when he started reading the screenplay for this film, that someone was just making a joke at his expense, that no one would actually make a film about Sheffield United. So there you go. And then one from Goal, the wonderful film where Santiago Munez pretends to be a Newcastle United player. The whole film, he's right-footed. Like, just, do some keepy-uppies, 20 on his right foot. Then the final match of the season, the big game against Liverpool to claim Champions League qualification, he scores a belting free kick with his left foot because they superimposed him on Laurent Robert scoring a real-life goal against Liverpool. So,
wow.
Strange.
So I was outraged when I watched that film. So I was once a Newcastle fan. Fuck you, Newcastle these days, but that's another story for another time. So there you go. There's some of my random trivia. And last bit of trivia.
Go on.
Ali McCoist has an MBE in the Queen's Honours list for his services to acting. So there you go. Might have been for football, but he's definitely got an MBE. So there you go.
Wow. I mean, that was random but interesting. Thank you.
Unlike A Shot of Glory, which is
random and uninteresting.
I can't get over a shot at entertainment.
What do we think of this film, Nige? You I know we've just heard you, but look, you requested.
You can't get enough of me.
We want some more Nige voice. What did you think of this film, and what is your rating out of 10?
So I stand by this film more than you guys will, I guarantee it. But yeah, I think Ali McCoist is really strong in this film. I think he comes across really well. I think Kirsty Mitchell, who plays his ex partner, I think she's good in this. I agree the chemistry is somewhat lacking, but I think she brings a sort of level of gravitas to it. I think a lot of the film doesn't make sense, but I do think the football scenes work quite well. And I was really shocked. Like, I watched this film years ago, pretty much forgotten all of it, watched it again, that they don't actually win the big game. They don't win the cup. And I actually thought that was really nicely done. It was a nice little swerve. The bit at the end just makes no sense at all. The whole Brian Cox bit, the way it just almost abruptly ends, it doesn't work at all. But I think there are moments of lightheartedness in this film. As I mentioned, McCoist is really good. And it's the sort of film that you can watch and it's harmless and it's, to a point, it's enjoyable. Yeah, it's funny, probably for the wrong reasons, but it's fairly well put together for what it'd be, like a TV movie, essentially. For me, because of that, because I love Ali McCoist, I love football, I think its heart was in the right place, even if it just did a lot of things very badly. And the fact you've got Duvall and McCoist sharing a screen, I can't give it too low a rating. So I'm actually going to give it 5. 5 Ali McCoist goals and a punch, which he gets sent out for, which is tremendous as well, out of 10 for me for The Cup, a.k.a. A Shot of Glory for Super Ali and Friends. Oh, and also Owen Coyle's in it as a random player. And he's like the ex-Bolton manager, which I also found, which is really strange. Yeah. So there you go.
I was expecting this film to be really, really, really bad before watching it, and it wasn't quite as bad as I thought it was going to be fair, but it's still pretty bad. I totally disagree about the football thing. I thought that in a film you want the football to be exciting. McCoist, he's probably weirdly the best thing about this film, apart from the sex scene, which just felt really awkward.
I wonder, did we all watch the same version?
Or maybe I
don't remember.
There is the director's cut. Yeah, there's like 40. No, I have no idea.
There's an extra 5 games.
There's the McCoist cut where he puts himself in that one scene. I
bet he does.
Puts himself in. But yeah, I was kind of entertained, I think.
You sound a bit confused about that fact, so I like it.
There were kind of moments where I was like, oh yeah, this is funny and fine, but I was just expecting it to be terrible, and it wasn't quite as terrible, so maybe I didn't not enjoy it as much as I thought. But yeah, Like, there's no jeopardy, like you say. There's you want in a sports film, you want like to go on that kind of journey, don't you? You want them to lose, and then you want them to get beaten up, and you want to feel like, oh man, you really want them to win, but you just don't. They just like keep winning, and then they lose at the end. So it felt like they just kind of got the main point of a sports film wrong, which is the one thing they could have got right in this film.
That's actually a good point. Yeah, it's like
just, it doesn't play by your rules, Smith. It's not a conventional A to B to C film. This film does what it wants.
I know.
This is the pulp fiction.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. It should have started at the end.
It's not on YouTube for free for no reason.
Should have had
only films that are so good end up on YouTube for free.
I do think Dogma ended up on YouTube for free.
Did it?
That was because of some weird ownership rights. Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't watch this again. I don't really recommend anyone watches it unless you really like Ali McCoist. So for that reason, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. And
a hat trick, basically, is what you're saying. This film deserves a hat trick.
I've just realised that we all gave Creed 3 a 3 out of 10.
It's better than Creed.
Wow.
I'm sorry. Creed 3, rather. Oh, it definitely is.
Okay. E-Talk. Better than Creed 3?
No.
I mean, like, I don't want to start doing the Creed 3 comparison already. We've already talked about Stallone enough, and like, let alone a film that Stallone was nearly a part of and it wasn't. Yeah, it's like Smith. I went in thinking this is going to be dog shit, and it wasn't dog shit.
No.
And Ali McCoist was definitely very surprisingly good. You said like there were ways around his acting by, kind of having him not appear with anyone on screen at the same time. No, I'm joking. That's me being facetious and mean. No, he shares a lot of screen time with numerous people, and he's very good in this. I think dare I say, he's probably the best actor in this movie. I think actually, not dare I say that, I think he is. I don't mean like he's the best actor in their career of all time or in their career, but for I'm going to guess debut and only film, he's very good in this. And like we kind of said earlier, it's like you could see him appearing in TV shows or whatever, or maybe even another movie here and there. He's not a bad actor, but he's in a bad movie, and I think that's the problem. I just think, as like, we've used the word jeopardy so much, but I just got bored by this movie. I was just like, this is a very boring movie. Sorry, Nige. Sorry.
I feel like that's going to be on the new off-radar intro. Just keep up being it's a very boring movie. Even your delivery for that was quite oh
yeah.
Oh shit! Oh dear.
That's good.
Sorry, I got the giggles now. Oh damn it, Nige. But yeah, I can understand where Nige is coming from. I think in terms of Nige has a passion for football. I mean, we all have a good bit of football, but Nige is like really in there kind of thing. And I get where he's coming from.
Also, shit football I really like, and that's what this film sums up for me. So that's why I love when Saturday comes as well. It's just Anyway,
but yeah,
sorry.
I just no. I'm with Smith. Like, I just found I thought, right, football. Here we go, some football scenes, and it was just all in slow mo. And I understand you can't just show a football match as in what we see on TV, because it's just like, yeah, we're just watching a football game. So you've kind of got to present it in a certain way. I would prefer that kind of, was it like 50 frames per second Saving Private Ryan cam? I think that would be really interesting. Or having someone run around with a camera strap, what do they call it, a steady cam. But yeah, it's just I never want to see this film again. And yeah, so I'm gonna agree with Smith. I'm gonna give it a 3. Sorry, go on. But I was going to say, I am glad we watched it, because it was fun reviewing it, put it that way. So thanks, Nige.
Yeah,
is this the highest rated sports film all three of us have rated for this podcast?
What have we done? Wimbledon, Creed 3.
I think
what else?
So basically, this is the best sports film ever made, according to the people on Off-Radar podcast.
It is.
Good.
I'm happy to go with that compared to what we've seen before.
I think we might need another suggestion for a sports film.
Maybe we need to do a good sports film. Put it out there.
I still want to do the Lovejoy one. I'm sorry, guys, the Ian McShane one.
Maybe we'll give it a year.
Whatever it's called. But definitely Mean Machine should be on our Off-Radar.
Nice.
And what's on your radar, guys? Email us on offradarpod@gmail.com. Tweet us at offradarpodcast. Let us know on Facebook or YouTube or somewhere else. Email Ali McCoist and get him to write in and tell her what does he think? What does Ali think?
Oh yeah, you should definitely tweet Ali McCoist as we give him so much love.
Yeah, and we have to.
He's brilliant in this.
I wonder if he'll retweet us. But yeah,
I think he's got better things to do, like to have sex with random women in hotel rooms. And, wherever he is. Drive cars too fast and piss off old ladies.
Fucking old lady. He says something like that, doesn't he?
No. She calls him a fucking nutter.
That's it. That's the line. Anyway, get in touch. Email us and let us know what you thought about A Shot at Glory.
Do you fancy sending us a film to review or letting us know your thoughts on a film that we have discussed? All of your comments will be read out in our end of season leaderboard episode. Email us on offradarpod@gmail.com. Tweet us at offradarpodcast. Message us on Facebook. All links and info in the description down